Hello there, and welcome to this episode of Force Ghost Conversations. This is your host, Anthony King, and this week I'm joined by Silver, aka Star Wars Thrifting, to discuss the first two episodes from Skeleton Crew. If you're a fan of the podcast and would like to consider pledging your support, there will be a link in the episode description for you to check out the various tiers offered. Also, please be sure to check out our T Public store to buy some Force Ghost Conversations merchandise. And without further ado, it's time to gather around the campfire for some Force Ghost Conversations. It's Skeleton Crew season, ladies and gentlemen. I am so thrilled to be chatting about a brand new Star Wars project with all of you. And I'm looking forward, frankly, to the wonderful discussions that we'll be having over the course of the next several weeks here. Kicking off with the first two episodes from Skeleton Crew that premiered this past Monday on Disney Plus. And of course, you know, this is Force Ghost Conversations. We're here to discuss, have conversations. So, of course, we have a wonderful guest on the show today, which is Silver, who we have been, she's been on the show a few times before. And to chat about Skeleton Crew is an absolute blast. Of course, you can find her on the internet as Star Wars Thrifting, where she goes to a ton of different flea markets and garage sales, you name it, on the hunt for the cool, the interesting, the wacky, the maybe only produced a handful of times items in the Star Wars and Lucasfilm galaxy. And her garage is basically like a living Star Wars museum of so much cool stuff. So always a blast and a pleasure to have her on the show to provide her insights into this and just Star Wars in general. So can't wait for you to listen to our deep dive into Skeleton Crew. Now, of course, this is a spoiler discussion. So if you haven't seen Skeleton Crew, go check it out on Disney Plus now and then come right back to this point in the podcast. You've been forewarned. Now, there is some news to get into this week before we get into our main topic discussion here. So let's run through some of the Cloud City gossip before we head into that portion of the program. So I guess leading off, Skeleton Crew is out now. If you, again, go check it out. It's been doing awesomely in terms of critical reception, and so from I can tell, the fans have been really enjoying it as well, at least in my circles. And I think you'll like it too. I don't think there's a lot to not like about this thing, and I hope that it continues to be that way. And I hope that just generally people continue to have the positive, I guess, aura about the show moving forward. Anywho, other news this week, the audio drama Star Wars The High Republic Tempest Breaker by Cavan Scott is available now. If you're a fan of The High Republic and you've been keeping up, this is the next kind of like audio drama they've been doing. That's kind of been a staple of The High Republic storytelling for the last several years now. And this is continuing the story of Lorna D., one of the members of the Nile, or at least a former member of the Nile, and where that story is going to go. And I can't wait to check out this audio drama in the near future here. I am getting absolutely almost caught up with everything Star Wars The High Republic, and I'm finishing up Tales of the Nameless now, and then we'll be moving on to Tempest Breaker here to be fully caught up with all the things that have been released to this point. Speaking of things to be released to this point, the last kind of news item that we have right now is that the soundtrack for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is now available. I believe it was by Gordy Hobb. Yes. He also has done the scores for Star Wars, the oh golly, Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor. There you go. I knew it was up there, just on the tip of my tongue, which are fantastic scores. I have actually the vinyl for Jedi Survivor, so I'm hoping that I'm obviously I haven't listened to it yet because I want to play the game first and then just determine if how the score is and all that stuff in context. But then I can't wait to listen to it on its own, because just living in the soundscape in a way of what these video game soundtracks are able to do, because they expand upon things. They have, if you're stuck in a room forever, it has to keep playing and playing and playing. So they have a lot of content when it comes to the material of when they do video game soundtracks. So can't wait to listen to this. And also the game comes out on December 9th. So that'll be next week for us by the time this episode is released here, or maybe it actually is the day that this gets released. Well, I don't even know what day of the week things are anymore. Anywho, it comes out December 9th officially. And if you pre ordered the game or the certain level access tier, I don't really know how video games work these days, you might have gotten early access to the video game, which I think starts on December 6th. So the game is kind of out in some ways, but officially, formally, it will be out on December 9th. I have my copy being delivered here, so I can't wait to play that game, learn about the new adventure that will be going on with Indy and as Indiana Jones. And of course, you can expect an episode about that topic in the near future here as well, once I'm able to tackle that. I've also got Outlaws coming, a lot more gaming coming in the new year, especially once Skeleton Crew has concluded. Um, so that, folks, is all the news that I have had compiled for this week. Of course, on the other side of this very short break, we'll be back with our conversation with Silver, aka Star Wars Thrifting, about Skeleton Crew episodes 1 and 2. Stay tuned. All right, everybody, welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations. We are in the start of a brand new Star Wars show season here on the show. And frankly, I am just loving everything that Skeleton Crew has to offer. I'm a pirate, I'm a member of the crew, I'm along for the ride at this point. And we have the first 2 episodes out now on Disney Plus, so I hope you've watched them. Spoiler warning for this episode here, because we're going to get into a full discussion. And when I say we have a guest here on this week's show. To break down episodes 1 and 2 from Skeleton Crew, we of course have reached out to our friend Silver from Star Wars Thrifting. Silver, welcome back to Force Ghost Conversations, and how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love coming back on Force Ghost Conversations. I love conversating. I love Force Ghosts. So I feel like I'm just at home. So I'm having a great time. Thank you.
Oh, we love to hear that, and you always have a open seat at the table at the Force Ghost Conversations proverbial
Love it.
campfire, whatever this is here.
Listen, I love it. I'm happy to be here.
We're always at Bright Tree Village, and there's always some more seats around the fire. That's the kind of image that I have in my head of what this is.
Yes. Yes.
And we're
Yes.
just chatting about things in the Star Wars and Lucasfilm galaxy. And we're here to chat Skeleton Crew, which we chat a little bit off air about the show. It seems like we are both really keen on this thing right now. But I want to start with like your level of anticipation going into the show. So I asked the question to you, Silver. What was your level of anticipation before a few days ago when the first 2 episodes were released?
I feel like I think when I heard of the concept and I heard who was involved, it was I think, "Okay, that's really exciting." But I think I think for sure it was when Celebration Europe, uh, what year, 2 years ago,
Hmm.
and Jude Law came out and there was these cute, adorable kids on stage,
Hmm.
and I just thought, "Wow, this just already feels so different and brand new." And I felt that my anticipation was I wouldn't say it was my most anticipated at that
Hmm.
point because we had other projects ahead of that I was really like, okay, but I just thought, okay, well, this seems exciting. Um, but I want to say, I think the last 2 months, I am like full in my Skeleton Crew era.
Yeah.
And I think they've done a great job at I mean, we kind of talked about it off air where it was like, well, they weren't really promoting it as much, normally like way ahead in advance. But I mean, when you just have those cute kids just like making their media circuit around and just hearing just like the fun behind the scenes stuff, that's when I really, really got excited. And honestly, my shift in the focus was Star Wars in December just is
Mm.
for me just the perfect combination,
Yeah,
and I think right when Halloween was over, I feel like that's when I just was all about, like, ready for Skeleton Crew. So,
absolutely.
yeah, I feel like it's attached to the holiday season for me. So right when I was
Mm.
able to start thinking about Christmas, it was just like, "Okay, Skeleton Crew." So, um, it's like full throttle up
Full
until
throttle.
yeah, just r yeah.
That's the way to describe Skeleton Crew, full throttle,
Full
just
throttle.
just wonderful, wonderful enjoyment of these kids and their journey that they're going on, and I think you're right, like, it did have a bit of, like, its almost cloak and dagger, like, marketing scheme
Mhm.
up until release, like, I feel like until August of 2024, so
Yeah.
this year at D23
Mhm.
when they finally gave us a trailer, right? It was like,
Yeah.
okay, there were rumblings of footage that was shared at, Celebration London in
Mhm,
2023,
mhm.
and were you at, Anaheim in 2022 for
Yes, I
Celebration?
was. Yes, I
Okay,
was. Oh,
great.
wow, I had a gosh, that seems like
I mean,
20 years ago.
it has
I
been,
was like,
a
"What
couple
is
years ago at
happening?"
this point.
Yeah, I was like, "My goodness, I had to think about that.
And
Wow."
I think that's when they fully announced that Skeleton Crew was a
Yes.
thing,
Yes.
and they were just like, "It's we got Jude Law and some
Mhm.
kids, and that's all we can
Yeah.
really tell you at this point." So, the
Mhm.
fact that we've come all this way to finally see Jude Law in Star
Fun.
Wars and said
Mhm.
kids, it's like, "Oh, great."
Fun. Yeah.
I think for me, my anticipation has grown so much over the last like month here. Once it's like,
Mhm.
okay, it's finally happening because, like
Mhm.
we kind of just mentioned here, there was been like so little that I feel like this was like the Star Wars project I knew the least amount about going into. Like I
Mhm.
usually know every character's name by heart. I know their backstories. I kind of learned about their new species, whatever is on the Star Wars data bank. Like I'll figure that stuff out. But like for this one, I was like, I'm gonna be a bit more casual going into this for
Mhm.
whatever reason.
Mhm.
I don't know if maybe that's just like going out of the acolyte and just
Mhm.
that whole internet war that took place, and just being like,
Agreed.
I need to recenter as a fan. Hopefully, these kids will help me recenter here.
Listen, I think that's probably this is gonna be the show's gonna be so healing because of that, because I agree with you. I think after The Acolyte, which I enjoyed,
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
but it's very hard not to not be on social media because obviously we wanna interact, we wanna talk, and then it was just like I just thought like, okay, I just really, really just kind of need to like take a
Hmm.
step back and reset and just like take a breather. Um, but I feel like this was like the perfect show. And I think this is desperately what I think maybe not like yeah, I think what us as fans need, and maybe just Star Wars and as a whole, but this is
Hmm.
kind of like what they really, really need right now.
Yeah, I agree. I frankly
Hmm.
wish, like, I know it came out on Monday and it was a little bit earlier, but I wish this
Hmm.
was like a surprise Thanksgiving drop. Like, that would have been so nice to have just
Oh,
had
I
my
love
meal,
it.
and
Yeah.
then Thursday night, like around 9 o'clock Eastern time, they just dropped this and just been like, oh, yeah, so I can just
Yeah.
soak into my couch and just get
Mhm.
lost in this story.
For sure, because it just the show just is very just very cozy.
Yeah. Get
But
your
yeah,
warm
I could
blanket, turn the fireplace on.
totally, totally. I'm over here eating my 3rd slice of pumpkin pie and just, like, ready to just watch, Neil in a bubble bath, was
Oh,
just
oh,
something that
yes.
it would have
Everything I
been a
needed, never
great
thought I would ever need in a Star Wars.
honestly, the best. I mean, we'll talk about a lot, but I just like, I just felt like it was almost everything that I've ever wanted into like 2 episodes. It was so great.
Ah, the bubble
Yeah,
baths. It's so cozy. I mean, who I mean, everyone that's ever taken a bubble bath knows how cozy they are. And the fact that it's in a Star Wars now just proves that this is the coziest Star Wars project to ever exist.
yeah, 100%. It's exactly that's exactly what it is. The Skeleton Crew is it's exactly like what it feels like to get a nice warm bubble bath.
Mhm, mhm. Agreed,
Mhm,
agreed. I think in some ways the coziness aspect of this also stems from a lot of the influence that comes into this, and I think that's probably some of the of the most information that we had about Skeleton Crew over the last 3 years, they pretty much have always described it as this, like, Amblin-like adventure, quote, unquote,
mhm.
and to a lot of people, that means absolutely nothing. If you're
Yeah.
not connected to the film internet world, right, like, they have no idea what that means.
Mhm.
So, what comes to mind when you hear the phrase Amblin-like adventure? What are the types of, like, images or films that really just like, "Oh, that's what I'm connecting this to."
I immediately think of ET, right?
Mhm.
And I immediately think of, the neighborhood in ET,
Oh,
and it
yes.
just feels that, the suburbia that takes place in the show just really just off the bat reminded me of just like that, and instantly just a group of friends,
Hmm.
um, uh, who are wrapped up in an adventure, and that's exactly what I thought, and I feel like that's exactly what these first 2 episodes delivered, but, yeah, I mean, I was a kid in the '90s, but, the all the Amblin, like, like, movies were
Mhm.
those are still movies I was still exposed to,
Mhm.
so I mean, I love the Goonies. E.T. is just something that just really just one of those movies that just really just changed
Yeah.
uh early on like my life. Like, oh my gosh, like I want to have an alien friend who, you know, helps me just I don't know. I just it was just something that just really felt magical. And I
Mhm.
feel just even with the trailers, those were like that's how I felt when I watched the Skeleton True trailer. It was just like whimsical and like
Mm.
it pulled you in and the music and just like the imagery. It's like, wow, this really looks like, an adventure ahead. And those are exactly the type of movies that that's exactly what the Amblin type movies are.
Yeah, yeah. I love exactly everything that you're saying here, and those are the films that come to mind for me too. Uh, E.T. I think is the pinnacle Amblin. I mean, it's the logo for Amblin. If anyone
Mhm.
hasn't seen the logo, or if you ever watch like a Spielberg film these days, and Amblin is the production company, it'll have the E.T. and Elliot flying over or next to the moon image, which
Mhm.
is probably one of the most iconic scenes in cinema. And the fact that now they're infusing a bit of that into the Star Wars sandbox of it all, I think is perfect. And if you're going to have a kid-led adventure, that should be the blueprint for that.
Mhm.
Now, I
Mhm.
will say, Silver, this is the interesting thing about the Amblin-ness of this all is all these films like Goonies and E.T., for example, if that's the formulaic thing that they're taking from for this, which seems like they are, um, I know you mentioned that you watched them growing up as a kid, but these are actually, I think we talked about this a little bit when you were on talking about Temple of Doom, where I was not allowed to watch a lot of movies as a kid. And
Yes.
all of
Mhm.
these ET, The Goonies, these were all films I had to discover in my 20s.
Oh, nice. Okay, yeah.
So even as an adult, if you watch these for the first time, they
They
will
still bring
still hit you really hard and connect to that nostalgia, a little bit nostalgia, but I would say just the kid within all of us
you
that I think
feel
is
like a
always
kid.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
feel like you're Elliot. You feel like, sometimes you're ET. You feel like
Mhm.
sometimes you're one of the Goonies.
Mhm. Mhm.
And all those films are just timeless for a reason. And it's because that they connect to the human nature of all of us. And I think that Skeleton Crew is going to, like you said, heal this fandom,
Oh,
which I
yeah.
think is going to be incredible. Now,
Yeah.
do these kids deserve to have that weight on their shoulders? Absolutely not. But
Mhm.
they're going to handle it very well, I think.
I agree. Yeah. That's what's great because it's the show, it's the point of view of kids and there's just like this simplicity of almost like, these are the characters we're following and
Hmm.
you put yourself in their shoes. Um and yeah, they're in the Star Wars like universe, but they are kids in the Star Wars universe, so they're almost like they don't have the weight of like or the of war going on or like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, like the Jedi who are just so like, just they have so much on their plate and they're just no, they're just like just kids
They're
who
worried about
have
getting to school and waking up on
normal
time,
lives and
eating
you're
their
just
cereal.
and it's easy for us to kind of just take a step back and just like really just like connect because yeah, like you said, it's like the nostalgia of it. It's like I remember when I was a kid, I remember like playing fake lightsabers with my friends
Mhm.
and you know um feeling the pressures of like missing the school bus sometimes and taking
Woof.
trying to take a shortcut and you know my mom didn't give me Old Republic credits for, lunch money, but if she did, that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, I think that it's really easy for us to kind of like just really just almost turn off our Star Wars brain that we have
Mhm,
as
mhm.
fans. I don't have that pressure. myself of like trying to connect the dots of the
Yeah.
story to the
Yeah.
overall, and I enjoy it. I love lore. I love like trying to connect, and like as a fan, things do pay off when I see something on screen that they mention, from tie into like an animation or a comic book.
Mhm.
Like that's
Mhm.
fun for me. But there's just something so freeing of just sitting back and relaxing and just like really just following these kids along
Yeah.
in this journey.
Agreed. Agreed. Hey, it's probably the most that as us in Earth in this real world can connect to someone in the Star Wars galaxy that's ever existed in Star Wars before,
Mhm.
right? I know many of us probably saw ourselves in Anakin and Rey and other folks like the protagonists, but they still have the Force and to a large degree are not. They're living absolutely different lives than what we could possibly. We may see elements of ourselves in them in both
Mhm.
like their nature and humanity, but these kids are taking tests. They're worried about their
Yeah.
future, what placement they're going to be in, what job they're going to do for the rest of their life. Neil has a crush.
Oh my goodness, Neil and his crush. S
So I mean, it's so awesome, and I do like it, like you were saying as well, like just about this show in general, that they've made it, you know, again in the marketing, they've made it clear that like it's not going to have like Luke Skywalker's not going to appear in this probably. He's not going to just swoop in and save the day,
I
and
love Luke Skywalker, but I'm
I'm
thankful for
fine with it
that.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And it's like, part of the Acolyte Wars was, oh no, there's a dark side user. Are they a Sith? All these Jedi have to die, right? Like, oh,
Mm,
because they saw a Sith, and Kiadi Mundi says the Sith have been extinct, and it's like, okay, maybe we just interpret it one way, and let's see what
mhm.
happens here. Let's not
Yeah,
get too in the weeds.
yeah.
And for this, without having that conversation, just really lifts the weight off the shoulders to
Mhm,
begin with, and we just can enjoy the ride that we're going on, which I
mhm.
think is healthy and a good way to recenter us for the
Very
next couple of
healthy,
weeks here.
very healthy. We all need this.
We
We're
need it. We've earned
we
it.
all need this.
This is this Christmas gift of all, the holiday gift, whatever, if you celebrate, give someone a gift
Yep.
this season. Skeleton Crew is that for us from Lucasfilm and Disney.
Mhm.
So now that we've seen the first two episodes of this show, give me one word. What is your one word reaction to how this show made you feel?
Joyful,
Joyful. Love it.
joyful. I had a smile, I think, plastered on my face the entire time. I don't think I spoke. I was watching with my husband, which is really fun, interesting to watch Star Wars, any new content with him.
Mhm.
My husband is, I think I probably mentioned this, probably not the biggest Star Wars fan, but
Hey,
he
that's okay.
goes along with it and watches it with
Hey,
me. But I always find myself having to like explain something, something, something,
love it.
and we were just easily quiet, just like we do when we watch any brand new show.
Mhm.
That isn't Star Wars. We were just quietly enjoying it and laughing, and
Yeah.
he never turned to ask, like, who's that or whatever, because I was just like, I don't know. I'm meeting this person for the first time too. So, but yeah, I think I remember I just felt like I was smiling the entire time.
Mhm.
There was just like just everything that I was seeing on screen was just such a um just a feast for the eyes. And then as they eventually, what I was seeing through my eyes went to my brain.
Mhm.
Whatever was going on in my brain just hit
You
me
just soaked
straight
it all
into
in. Yeah.
straight into the heart, and I just thought, this is incredible. This is fun. It feels just so big and
Mhm.
cinematic
Mhm.
also, which I want to say that even when like watching The Acolyte, I feel like they've done a good job at balancing the like practical with
Mhm.
CGI, but also it not feeling so enclosed. Like I
Mm.
was feeling like the volume at times with all the other shows. Like I felt
Sure.
it,
Sure.
and I felt like, okay, I feel like I didn't feel it as much, and
Mm.
it's going to be interesting to kind of listen more of like the behind the scenes stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was just I didn't speak the the first two episodes, so I just felt like joy, and I said, oh, this is fun.
Mhm.
This is probably everything I could have ever wanted and more. And then it wasn't until I saw it the second time and the third time after, I was like, I was really catching up on things I had missed. But
Mhm.
It was just pure joy.
Love
Pure
it.
joy, and just it was freeing. I felt like it was
Ah,
just I was able to just feel, like, just free and not having that.
just had a weight lifted off your shoulders in a way.
Yes, I didn't have to have that thing of, like, trying to connect the dots because
Mhm.
I was just more focused on in the now, what was happening now with these characters,
Yeah.
and that's a really like, freeing place to be, I think.
It is.
When
It
you're taking in
like,
content,
when
it
you're
is
in it.
relaxing. Honestly, it's relaxing. It's just like what I think about when there's certain times where I just cannot I need to watch, like, a comfort show. I'll
Mhm.
watch the same show over and over again because it's just like I can't really take anything new right now. But it almost like this instantly felt like one of my comfort shows, and I'm just watching it for
Yeah.
the first time. This is
Oh,
like just an easy watch, and I was just like,
yeah.
"Oh, okay, this is great. This is good.
Yes.
I love it. I
Oh,
love it." Even like there's stakes, the kids are,
yeah. They're
they
they're in they're in terrifying situations
that's it.
already.
It's scary, but it's at the same time I'm comforted the entire time. I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh,
You're
I'm
like,
having
"They'll
a
be fine. They'll be
yeah, they'll be
okay."
fine. They'll be
It's like an
okay." They're
'80s kid mentality, right? Like, the parents just let them do whatever they want. They're not even locking
Mhm.
the doors. They have no
Yeah.
supervision.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they'll be
safe.
back. They'll
Everything's
get
safe. Yeah,
they'll
they'll
get
be
home for
fine.
dinner, and if they don't, then we'll figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah. Everything will be okay. That's how I felt. It was great.
I love that.
Joyful.
I love that. Joy, and I'm gonna yes and it. My word will be kind of what we've already said here, cozy. This
Mhm.
is exactly that. I watched the first episode, and then as I sat further into my couch for the second one and turned on all the we have a couple of candles in the house for the holiday season, lit all of them up, really just got in the mood.
Yeah.
We have a candle that is scented, or it's meant to smell like the ETQ over here at Universal Studios Orlando,
How fun.
which is the best candle I've ever had in my life, and it really does smell like the ride queue. It smells like I guess what they're trying to make the redwood smell like,
Mhm.
and it just wafts through the house. And then we
Nice.
watched that pirate themed episode of part two of this two parter, and boy, did I just feel like I was just. I didn't feel like I was really watching Star Wars, which I think is a good thing. I felt like I was
Mhm.
just watching these kids in this wacky space adventure, which
Mhm.
again was refreshing. Could also use that word perhaps, but at the end of the day, I think this is already a comfort show for me, and I'm glad to hear that it is kind of for you too. And I'm intrigued. I do recall seeing that um, you got an adapter for the CRT TV
I
that you have
did.
out in your garage.
It's fun.
Have you hooked it up yet to
It's
watch
fun.
the episodes on that?
I didn't watch the episodes yet. I'm I'm yeah, not yet, but I did connect it and I did kind of like test it. And I think I did I watched like the trailer and
Hmm.
couple of like the like roundtable interviews on there just for fun. But I haven't seen the full episode yet and I'm planning on do it this weekend and I cannot wait.
Awesome.
Honestly, I cannot wait. Um yeah, I'm so excited. It was just a really fun neat idea. Um
I think it's
the only thing
brilliant. I think you should do it
yeah,
for all these shows.
I honestly I did it one time for Book of Boba, um, and it was a blast. I was like, "Wow, this is
Yeah.
fun." I think maybe like the first experience of watching a new episode, I'll just watch it, just like 'cause like anything, you just want to watch on the biggest
Mhm.
screen, like the best sound
The sound
possible.
system, yeah.
But when I'm hanging out in the garage and I just want to, be cozy, I have all my collection of like Star Wars VHSs,
Mhm.
almost pretty much any Lucasfilm property out there. Um, I was actually watching Tipple and Doom the other day,
Oh,
when I was,
perfect.
taking out yeah, when I was hanging out on VHS. It's a blast, but I cannot wait to watch, the first 2 episodes, which I'm really planning on doing this weekend. I have a couple, like, CRT TVs, so I recently just got, like,
Oh,
this
I was just gonna
9-inch
ask.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I have about 5 in my garage. They're all placed in, like,
love it,
different parts.
as it should be.
Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, my main one, like the biggest one I have is like probably 30 inches.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, I can't, it's in front of like, we have like this like, uh, chair or like lounger, like
Oh,
said I can't wait to kind of
Silver.
hang
This is
out.
this is just a heaven. You're describing heaven for me here.
Yeah, I just like I there's just something so cozy. I know people always ask like what is it about like CRT TVs and VHSs? It's just like I just like feeling the warmness I
It's the
did when I was a
process of
kid.
it to a
It's
degree, I
fun.
think.
It's
Yeah.
fun. There's something
I mean,
really
heck, I
comforting.
got one right here.
Yeah, there's something really comforting of like taking out the I did have to buy it those VHS rewinding
Mm.
machine like things because it was really I was like, okay, okay, I have to just like put this in the automatic rewinder thing because it was getting a little tedious. But it is fun. There's something about going to your little library, picking something out physically, and then like popping it back in and having like that saturated sound,
Oh, the
crackling
popping.
sound.
Oh, love it.
So good, so good. So, but I am so looking forward to watching these 2 episodes on the TV.
And it's the same
Um,
thing with vinyl and the
yeah,
cassette tapes too, you know?
the best. And I honestly, if you guys have a CRT and wanna do like a little fun little project, honestly, you just gotta get the, USB to AV converter. It's like
Yeah. What,
6
$5?
bucks on Amazon. Um, and you can just like plug in your Disney Plus on your laptop and just like stream it onto your retro TV. It's quite fun.
Quite fun indeed.
Mhm.
Now, because I was gonna ask, if you have, multiple CRTVs? Because my
Mhm.
next question here, since you've answered that, is, once you've done a viewing, will you also just, like, have it on in the background and then play, like, a video game perhaps? I know you have several vintage consoles out in
Mhm.
that garage too. What would
Yeah.
be, in your opinion, the best Star Wars video game that you have to play at the same time as, like, when Skeleton Crew's on the background?
It's really hard not to say you know, the pod racing one on
Oh, yeah.
N64. Um I'm really into right now currently I'm in the middle of playing this game which is my goodness, having memory cards is I forgot just how like how annoying that can be. But right now I have my GameCube out there and I'm playing Bounty Hunter.
Oh, it's so good.
The Jango Fett. They did re-release it for PS5. I get it, whatever. But I love it. I
Not
love
the
playing on
same.
my game. I love playing on my GameCube. So I have Skeleton Crew on the background. I'll be playing Bounty Hunter. Also, I gotta say, Battle for Naboo. There's something
Mm.
fun about that too on
Oh,
the
all
N64.
good games. Good games.
All great games, all great games. Although Shadow of the Empire is has been staring at my, at me every time I walk in the garage. I'm just like, "Man, I gotta play that." I've yet to play that. I recently picked that up,
Oh,
on the
really?
N64, yeah.
You never even
Never
picked it up back
played.
in the
I've
day?
never played it. I've never played it,
Wow, you're in for
but
a good one. That's a fun one.
yeah, I'm in for a good one. I just gotta have time where I can actually just sit down and just, like, really commit to it. Because 'cause I'm telling you, these memory cards
Ugh.
are a trick.
The
They
memory
get you.
cards and, the N64, especially for that one, some of the
Mhm.
games, right, like, didn't really have memory cards, so you have to, like,
Yes.
beat the game in one sitting.
One sitting, so I have to have time to sit in one sitting and play Shadows of the Empire.
Love it, love it. Well, I look forward to seeing your journeys on Instagram, hopefully,
Mhm, mhm,
when you have these fun, CRTV adventures with Skeleton Crew over the next couple of weeks here.
mhm.
So it seems like pirates, are going to be like a central group of characters within this, and perhaps even villains. I think they're gonna be villains for the series.
Yes.
What do you think about their inclusion, and then perhaps just pirates in general, and then the group of pirates that we see in this episode? Will they be a good foil for the kids? What do you think about them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies of all time is Hook.
Oh,
Um,
another Amblin adventure, perhaps.
also yes, also, I was obsessed, obsessed. After the Star Wars prequels, I needed a new IP to get really obsessed with, and it was Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
Saw it at every midnight showing that came out.
I thought you were gonna
I
say 2003's Peter Pan, 'cause
yeah, that's a fun one too.
that's a big joy in this household, I can tell you.
Yeah. But Pirates of the Caribbean was just something I just loved so much. And I love pirates. Funny stories that my mom and my dad dressed up as pirates every year for Halloween. I think they were just too lazy to get new
Huh,
costumes,
okay.
but every time they dressed up for every time they dressed up for pirates as Halloween,
Just
they were
bring out the
so
old stuff.
they were so into it. They were like so into character. And it was just so much fun for me as a kid. I love pirates. I think pirates are great. And I love our space pirates that already exist in the Star Wars
Mhm,
world.
mhm.
But to really focus on pirates being like the baddies, it just makes sense. And it makes sense because as we'll find out later what the heck is going on this planet. I don't
Sure.
know. Pirates might be after something, and you know, yeah, so we'll see. But I think it's great. I think this is a great they play like a great like the baddies for the kids. Um and cuz pirates when you're a kid like they're
Mhm.
kind of scary. But then they end up being fun. But yeah, I think this is a great I was actually watching the roundtable. They were talking about it with the showrunner and all the
Yeah, yeah.
directors, and mentioning how much they love pirates, so it just kind of makes sense. But yeah, I think it makes sense for this show. um and yeah, because pirates just want one thing, and it's treasure and
Treasure.
credits. So yeah, I love
Only
it.
money. That's what
That's all
motivates
it
them.
is. That's all it is. It's fun. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where it goes. And pirates are just aesthetically cool.
They sure are. I
They're
mean,
cool.
I saw Wim walking around the ship there and then just putting on his pirate hat and finding
Love.
the heck's that thing? But not the binoculars, like a monoscope? A scope?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm forgetting all my pirate lore here. But he finds that, and it seems like this is like this whole treasure trove area of just like, what was this? Is a captain on
Yeah.
this ship? I mean, we're
Yeah.
just really thrust in this kind of new world for Star Wars in a way that we've really only seen in like animation with like Hondo.
Love it. I know. My gosh. I know we don't want any characters coming in, but man, if we get a Hondo
Oh, if
anything
we get
would be
Hondo.
wild. Um yeah, I even like the opening scene. When they go and infiltrate and all these pirates come up. I think that's when I was actually genuinely shocked because I
Mhm.
feel like as all these pirates are like coming on board, all of them look so different. And I just wanted to
Yeah.
like know who each and every one of them was because like they were just so just again like aesthetically just cool.
Mhm.
And there's just something so like, it's not like just a bunch of stormtroopers who look all alike
Sure, sure.
storming in. It's just like everybody is so has a different like just character like just
A bit
different
more
like characters that just
individuality. Yeah.
yes, and it just looks so amazing, and I was just like, "Oh, man, this is too much. I can't even look at all of them." There's a lot of them. So I like the second episode is I feel like that's where I had the most fun because it was just like
Oh,
they're everywhere in this
everything was off,
port.
yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. So, yeah, I think Pirates just kind of really goes with this adventure.
I think so too. Like pirates are like the antithesis of like everything as a kid is taught, right? Like they have really like one moral to get money, and then everything else is just pure anarchy, right? There's no real structure except for the captain, and they don't really respect rules, and they're just off in the galaxy nomad like doing whatever they want, taking whatever they want. And like for these kids that are literally taking a test to like being placed in a job that they're going to work and then live in middle class suburbia for seemingly the rest of their existence and stuck in this barrier and not exploring outer space, it's like everything that they're not.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So for their introduction to this brand new world outside, it's like, well, let's see what everything looks like on the other side of the coin flip. Basically, if we're one
Mhm.
half of it, they're the other half of it. It's like this is their Jedi and Sith in a way, right?
Yeah.
uh, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how the pirate culture infuses itself, or like what they learn from it, what they take from it, because these kids are so wide-eyed. They're like, this is space. This is, are those planets, those are stars. I don't know what this looks like. And they're it's going to be really interesting. I mean, the pirate, like you said, the pirates are just cool looking. Brutus
Mhm.
Brutus
Oh
is
my
my man.
Brutus. I remember when he when we first see him, my husband's like, "Who's that?" I was like, "Yeah, that's Brutus. He looks cool." Um,
One guy gets
yeah.
his, like, his eye shot out.
Oh
He
my
gets an eye
gosh.
patch.
Love it. I love that he gets the eye patch after. Yeah, no, for sure. And I just love even too, like how they just, they completely just turned on their captain. It's like, okay, you're not delivering. You're not going to give me our credits. You're no longer this captain. It's like, wow,
Yeah, no mercy here.
no mercy. Love it.
Well, frankly, that whole intro scene was pretty metal in a way. There was no
Mm,
mercy given for anybody. That I
nobody.
mean, this opening sequence, I wanna get your thoughts on this here in a second here, but speaking of the Amblin-ness of it all, right? If you're including, like, Indiana Jones and that and the Goonies particularly in this, and probably Gremlins too, to a degree, like those films that were borderline, "What is PG?"
Yeah. Yep.
Um, I think my wife and I watched that first sequence, of this show, and then we're like, "Are we sure this is, like, for kids? Are kids the
Oh, with
audience of this?"
the
And they're like, "I
eyeball
don't
getting
think so."
shot
Well,
straight
the
in the
first
eye.
guy gets his eyeball shoved, and, like, when they shoot over whatever, like, the hallways are to, like, board, um, it flattens a guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
there's no debate on if he's alive or not. He's pretty much crushed.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I thought too. I was like, wow, this is a pretty intense opening scene for this, show that's, you know, inviting kids to come along. It's really fun. I was like,
Yeah,
whoa, that's a little intense.
absolutely. And, like, this is, like, in a way, like, I can see, like, the homage in a way to A New Hope, right? It did have that, like, oh, the Tantive V4 is getting boarded by a bunch of
Yeah,
stormtroopers here. But for 1977, it just seems like, oh, okay, couple stormtroopers get hit, couple people die, boop, 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 we're moving on. But no, you see, like, the brutality of what this scene
yeah,
actually probably would look like in a real sense,
yeah,
in this sequence. And I thought, man, we're off and running here.
yeah. They're
These poor
they're
kids.
they're they're tearly, yeah. They're on the line. They're like getting close. Like, let's see how much we can get away with here.
How much can we get away with? And
Yeah.
I'm assuming this takes place after the events of Mandalorian season 3. Um,
Yes.
there's no mention of our sweet pirate Gorian Shard.
Did Captain Silvo take after Gorian Shard?
He must have.
Right? Yeah. 'Cause what's his name? Vane?
Vane,
Yeah, Vane
yeah,
is there, so
he's there. I mean, like, I felt like he would have taken the
yeah.
captaincy, or maybe he just hopped on someone else's
Just
crew.
hopped on someone else's crew? Yeah, that could be it too. He
So
was so
who
ashamed because he got, the Mandalorians, like, pretty much owned
kicked him
him.
out of Navarro and
Yeah, so he was like, "I guess I can't face this crew anymore. I'm embarrassed. Let me go to this other crew."
uh, pour one out for Gorian Shard, kids. I mean,
Yes, the
on
best.
on to the next one.
Another pirate who was just like, wow, pirates, Star Wars and pirates just makes sense.
Pirate Moss, whatever he is, just a true gem of imagination.
It's a big chia pet.
A yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
Why
so
don't we have a Gorian Shard chia pet?
you know,
This is the question of the
Celebration
podcast, I think, right now.
2025. If that
Yeah.
is not for sale, frankly, should have been for sale at Celebration London, because that's when they
Mhm.
were premiering Mando season 3. It was a big missed opportunity. So now to
Mhm.
rectify the situation, it should be only Gorian Shard merchandise, at least in one room for Celebration London, not Tokyo. So
I agree.
I think that needs to be done. Lucasfilm, if you're listening, make it so. Anywho,
Call me if you need suggestions because I
yeah,
got you.
yeah, I'll make a list together. I got
As
a
a
whiteboard over
consumer
here.
who buys a lot of your stuff,
Yeah,
let
yeah,
me know.
yeah. You're the target audience here. Tell them all the weird and
As you
wacky
can
stuff.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Get me the real 3PO tape dispenser.
Please.
So we've talked a lot about the kids in this show already, and they're clearly this carrying this show and the heart of this on their sleeves. Which member of this quote unquote skeleton crew, right? We're talking the four kids here, uh, Wim, Neil, KB, Fern. If you had to pick one of them after a few viewings of this, which is your favorite so far and why?
So I love them all. So if I had to pick, for a while, I felt before I even watched the show, there was something about Fern that I thought
Hmm.
I'm really gonna really like Fern.
Yeah.
But where I'm standing now, I think KB
KB, the
is a little
sleeper in here. Okay.
who did not have a lot. We don't even know who KB's parents are
Hmm.
or family. Nothing.
If she even has family. Yeah.
Yeah, I again I gravitated to Fern right away. She
Hmm.
just has that like Princess Leia badass that you love. And if I was a 13-year-old girl watching the show, I would just like gravitate towards.
Yeah.
But then there's something about KB I love. First of all, I love the friendships between all of them already.
Hmm.
Just like any best friend, you have the one that's the leader and the one that just goes along. And but there's
Right.
something about KB. KB did something for me when Fern was being a little meanie in the forest,
Ah,
and KB
yeah.
kind of called her out a little bit and say, "Hey, you didn't have to be so mean." I said, "Wow, like, you know, to kind of like check your friend a little bit." I thought
Mm.
was very admirable.
That's mature of
Um,
her and admirable in a
it
way.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And I thought, okay, that's really sweet. But yeah, KB, I don't know, she's kind of creeping up. She's creeping up on me, and
Creeping up.
I love it. I like it. Um, yeah, but instantly when I saw both of them on the speeder bike when the bus is going and they went and did that shortcut, I said, "Oh,
Mhm.
these these they're cool. This is the cool crowd right over here." Um yeah, but Fern and KB just really stuck out to me. And listen, I love them all. Like I'm part of Neil
Mhm.
Nation. I love
Mhm.
Neil. I love Wim. Um but yeah, those two definitely kind of have a little hold on my heart right now.
I think that's awesome, right?
Mhm.
I wondered because again, you just like you said, KB had a little less to work with than the rest of
Mhm.
the crew so far. So hopefully we get a lot more KB and more of her backstory, perhaps in the near future here. Um, so like I can't wait to see what more of what she has to offer in the show. Um, and frankly, I think just with what little we got, we only can go up from here with what she's going to have. And I think that is a great morality thing that she did, where she was able to check her friend like that. Um, I think that was really great. So I think that's awesome that you connected with her so early in this, and can't wait to see where she goes from here. Now, for me, I will say
Mhm.
that Neil. I mean, no surprise.
Yeah.
Neil
Neil
is
Nation.
kind of he's big around these parts here, at least in
Yeah.
this household. Me and my wife gravitated to him almost immediately. Um, and I just thought that, and I tried to figure out with her and just been pondering in the day and a half since that it's come out, the why of Neil. Why Neil is interesting. Why as a fandom are we gravitating to this guy? And frankly, I feel like it's because of his innocence in a way, right? He definitely
Mhm.
projects a lot of this childlike innocence. There's just whether it's just him worrying about, oh, I have my test coming up, I hope you study, or I'm having fun doing this. He has his crush. He's taking his bubble bath. He's like, I just want to get home.
Yeah.
There's so much of Neil in all of us, and I think that we'll only be better people at the end of the day if we act more like Neil. Like, I think we should ask ourselves, what would Neil do? And
Yeah.
maybe it's because his name is Neil, and I know it's spelled Neel, but there's just something comforting about a kid named Neil in Star Wars, which
Yeah.
I feel like is just going to be so comforting. Like, oh, Neil's here. I'm okay now. Like
Yeah.
he just has this calming presence, and for this group of kids that are going off on this wacky adventure, I know he's going to be piloting. I've seen in the trailer. things are going to happen. Neil's going to be put in situations and you're like, don't put Neil in that spot. But I just know if I were in a room and I were in a hard task situation, and if Neil were in the room there, I would feel 100% safer and more confident that we're going to get out of this just because Neil is there. So Neil for me is my guy here.
Solid choice for Neil.
Solid choice indeed. Neil Nation. I hope everybody is on the Neil train. And yeah, just all the Neil all the time. So the planet at Attin is seemingly different and many ways different from any other Star Wars planet that we have been exposed to date. So, like, what stood out to you about this world and its culture?
Um, First I thought, wow, this is really pretty. It's suburbia. This is great.
Yeah.
But then some weird stuff started happening and I got a little
Hmm.
suspicious. Um, I got suspicious in the fact that a lot of these kids dreamt about being analysts, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Not the
thought that's
choice that many would pick.
interesting. Okay. But I really felt like we were all kind of stuck here. And I was like,
Hmm.
why are we just stuck here?
Yeah.
There was a lot of talk about of a barrier and these security droids who seem to be calling the shots.
Hmm.
Just really kind of threw me off a little bit. Um, yeah, so I found that to be a little suspicious. So I called it right away. I said, this is kind of weird. I feel like we're kind of in Pleasantville almost, like everything's
Mm.
just too good to be true.
Mm. I like it.
And,
Yeah.
so I kind of felt like, okay, this is kind of interesting. So I'm really suspicious of this. I don't even know. What are we calling it? A planet? I don't even know what this is. This is
That's a
very
good question.
strange. They can't even see stars, which is bizarre to me.
Yeah, it's just always
Um,
cloudy.
yeah, cloudy or projection who's like, I don't know, it's weird.
And some
Um
barrier, right? It doesn't seem like it's really did a good job. If it-
But I think they're meant to believe that there's a
right.
barrier.
Yeah, I think
That's
so
like
too.
almost they're all programmed. I wanna say the word programmed, but they're
Maybe.
all not but they're just all just meant to believe, like, and putting all this pressure on these kids so young, and it
Hmm.
just seems very, um gosh, there's this movie called The Island, and I think that's where my brain is going
Oh
to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I kinda got those vibes, or like The Village or something.
yeah.
Now I'm getting really creepy, but yeah, it's very that's just kind of where I felt uneasy as the episode went on.
Yeah, I mean, it made sense that um, there was so much of suburbia, like real world suburbia in there, and I feel like for a lot of us that lived in suburbia, like there's something off about this,
Yeah.
which I think translates well to the oh, this is something's out of place here in this world. They talk about the great work, and I don't really know what they're meaning by that, and they use old Republic credits. And they say they're a word republic, but like, do they know that the empire took over? Did they know that the old republic collapsed? Like,
There was like a galactic, yeah, exactly. There
like,
was
are
a
they
lot a
living in
lot
just such exclusion that in
Yeah.
seclusion that they don't know other things happen? Like, it's so wild to see like Wim have a data pad basically that has fables of Jedi's doing good deeds out in the galaxy when every other world that is connected doesn't really know that the Jedi exist at this time anymore.
Yeah. I know, I found that to be really interesting. It says almost like he got just like the sweet version of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I found that to be really, really interesting, and I that's what kind of really just threw me off a little bit. I'm like, yeah, where are we getting these stories from, Wim?"
That's a
Yeah,
good
the
question.
old Republic credits was just that's when the alarms were going off for me. I'm like, "Wow, that's kinda interesting."
Yeah, no, something's not adding up here.
Yeah,
It's too good to be true. They figured out how to stop traffic in this world. Like everyone's just on the one track system on the
yeah,
roads.
yeah,
It's too idealistic, right? It's just not enough conflict in this world to seem
yeah.
real.
It seemed like Wim was, like, the only normal person there, I felt like.
Yeah, yeah, questioning
Just
the
questioning, like
norm.
yeah, that felt like I was like, yeah, and, I get it. It's just as a kid, you wanna dream and you wanna have your adventures, especially when you're so into it seems like Wim just has a dad who's just always working all the time. It looks like he's alone
He's working through
and
his grief, right?
yeah, just
He's not at
working.
home.
Yeah, not at home and just working and, looks Wim is just really just wanting something else
Mhm.
and, just dreaming about, "I wanna do something else," and Neil calls him out, says, "You wanna be a Jedi." Um,
I love that too.
yeah, so it's, yeah, I found this their home to be kind of just, a little you know, it's almost like they weren't even talking about, like, the event. Also, like, I don't know, it just felt like the school was just so, like, secluded, like,
It
"There's a lot
did.
going on in the galaxy. Are we not, like,
Yeah,
talking
you don't wanna
about
talk
other
about current
things?"
events, like, Mon Mothma's
Yeah,
running the ship here.
and the fact that they wanna be, like they want the most boringest job, these kids, I was just like, "This is so weird." Yeah, so
And it seems like everyone's just destined to be an analyst, which is,
yeah,
as we saw in Andor, it doesn't seem glamorous.
that's what I'm saying. It's all like
Like
it's like middle management, like a middle management planet. Like everybody wants to like be a middle manager. That's the dream. Yeah, so I just found that to be
yeah, the dream is you get you have your reviews at work, and then you come home and, you watch stuff on the HoloNet. Maybe it's an homage to the holiday special, which was awesome.
love it. It
Loved
was
it.
like Coco Melon.
That's right, that's right. And then you take your bath and you go to bed and you wake up the next morning and do it all over again.
Hmm.
Now, like, I don't know about you, but, like, I was mesmerized looking at the house that Fern lives in, and her mom, I don't remember her exact name, but it's Carrie Condon is the actress.
Hmm.
And at first, when I saw the trailers, I thought she was going to be like the teacher of this classroom, but now she seems to be like the administrator for At Attin in some way. And she had like some mural in the house, and I was like, "What is that? What what's the mural of? Who's these people here?" And, like,
Yeah.
that doesn't look like Leia, it doesn't look like Padme, at least from what I can tell here. Who are they trying it was emulated here? What is the deal? They just wouldn't have created this mural for no reason.
Hmm.
Um, and, who maybe we'll get an answer to that, but there's just a lot to know about this planet that is shrouded in this great mystery,
Hmm.
like we've been talking about here. And I'm frankly fascinating to learn more, because it moves into the next question here, because everyone outside of this planet considers it to be like a mythical lost planet of sorts. um why do you think that it's kind of secluded and it's this mythical thing? Like, how did that happen? And these pirates think that there's a treasure here. Do you really think that there is a hidden treasure in this world? And tell me more. What do you think?
I believe that there's a hidden treasure in the world. There's already a pirate ship already over there that's crashed.
Yeah.
Um, it seems like whoever is protecting this planet and the barrier, it's like someone's protecting this planet for a
Hmm.
reason. And I think that's going to be the interesting part of I think that's going to be the question of the show.
Yeah.
What's so mysterious about their home? What is it? And these kids have no idea either. They just think they live in the normal home. And that's when things are gonna start to unravel. They're gonna find out like what is here, what's happening. Um, but I love that while they're at the port, every time they were like, "We want to go home. This is where we live," and they were like, "Kids, you guys are crazy talk. There's that place
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah. I live
exist."
there too.
Yeah, I
I think
know,
it's
and
a
I just
joke.
felt like, wow, like, that's just so I feel like for me, the most intriguing part of the show.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, I get, okay, yes, we're gonna go on an adventure, there's space pirates, but that is, like, the question. Like, what is that that's what
Mm.
got I feel like got people. I mean, it got me hooked. It's like, what is that? Like, what is it about it? Um I don't know, like I said, like, the suspicious about these droids. I feel like I feel like these droids are just running the planet. I feel like someone who put everybody here decided to, like, we gotta keep them hidden, and the droids are, like, running the show at this point.
True.
Yeah, so, I believe that there's treasure there. I mean, Old Republic credits, that's
Mhm.
insane to just be passing it around for, lunch money.
And super high value too, apparently. They didn't lose value
Yes.
2 administrations later.
Yeah. Yeah, so I definitely believe, like, there's some it's like Treasure Island for sure.
Yeah,
Or
I
Atlantis, Lost City or something, like, there's just
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
You
That's
know
a
you know what
great
I'm
way to put
saying?
it. Oh, yeah, like, it
Yeah.
does have this, like, Atlantis.
It has, like, this Atlantis feel to it.
Oh, wow, that's a excellent analysis there because, yeah, I that's a perfect way to describe this, like, lost city kinda thing here. Lost planet, this lost thing. They're trying to trying to make their way through this, and, it's the adverse of that in a way where, you know, they these kids are like, "No, I've seen it," and they're trying to get back to it, and everyone else is like, "No, it doesn't exist." Whereas, like, it's the other way around typically where people are like, I think it exists. We must find it and we'll stop at nothing in order to get it." There is a journey home and it's a journey home to treasure, which I think is super cool and super
Mhm.
awesome. The only comparison I can think of just off the top of my head as I look up at my mummy poster from 1999 is the Lost City of Hamunaptra that
Oh, yeah, that's a good one
Brendan Fraser
too.
saw, and then they find it. Now it's another city of treasure. So maybe some mummy influences will be in here too, as we've seen some skeletons and we've seen zombies and in Star Wars. So who's to say that mummies can be a thing in this thing too? Here, who knows? Sky's the limit. I'm not going to put barriers on Skeleton Crew. How could we? Um, yeah, I think this is a spectacular,
Mhm.
interesting story here. Um, I'm curious about the why. Like, and you bring up the droids. I'm suspicious of them too. We saw the Mandalorian season 3 episode where Christopher Lloyd was kind of running the droids, and it's like, who's behind? Is it Carrie Condon? Is she keeping this ship together here? Who's keeping them secluded here? What's the deal? Are these kids going to break through the barrier, quote unquote, of this? Maybe the treasure is just family and living a suburban life, and middle classness is the way to live your life, and there is no real treasure here. I don't, I don't
Yeah, yeah,
know.
right? Hey,
Oh,
it could be.
it could be.
Um,
Live in a
I
cul-de-sac. That's the real treasure, everybody.
And I feel like this is, like, another eerie thing that happened, and it was just like, okay, this is, like I felt like this is also weird. It's when the kids take off and Wim's dad is there, and it's like, "Hello, like, this is a scary thing that's happening.
Hmm.
The ship is taking off, and there's 4 children on here." And the security I don't know, whatever the droids, they were just like the dad's, like, in, like, panic mode, like, "Hello, my son just left left home. You." And, like, almost like they were just not I just wanted the
They weren't
droids.
connecting the dots.
No,
Yeah.
I just wanted them to react with them. I said, "What is happening here? This is just so weird to me." Yeah, so that's another thing I just felt like, "Okay, this is just so strange."
Yeah, we're so lucky in our Star Wars-ness that we have met, at least when they're protagonists, droids that really emote well emotionally, right?
These
Like, I'm
droids are
thinking
driving me
3PO,
nuts.
R2,
Yeah.
K2SO, Chopper, right? Those droids really, like, emulate emote. They feel.
Uh-huh.
And these droids were the
S
adverse of that entirely. They did not feel whatsoever. They're like, leaving the
Nope.
barrier is really punishable. They shouldn't have done that.
Yeah,
That's the last thing on your mind right now. You got to find these kids. Something needs to be done, and then you can hash out the details later.
absolutely.
The benefit is, like, I'm glad the dad saw the kids go off versus them just, like, doing a planet-wide
Oh,
search and being
mhm.
like, "Where is he? I don't know where he's at." Like, he
Yeah.
actually knows. He can narrow it down that they're not on world, which I
Yeah,
think
that
is
they
helpful.
took off. Yeah, I know. Oh my goodness. These poor parents. Oh,
These
Neil's
guys.
family and his
Neil's family, his
siblings. Oh my
siblings.
goodness. Yes.
Oh, they
Oh,
have that, like, whatever. I don't know what Neil's species are, but, like, in the garage, they have that, like, poly girl,
I love
uh,
it. I love it. I feel like
sign.
Neil's family is just a family I want to go hang out with for the holidays.
Oh, they sounded so nice, like, when he came home, "Neil's home. Hi, everybody.
Yeah,
Hi,
I
mom. Hi,
know.
dad. Oh, so
Poor
good to see you,
Neil.
buddy."
Yeah.
Ah, man, and of course, Wim seeing that can't be like great. He's like, "Oh, I see, like he has this loving family. I used to have that kinda when my mom was here, and now my dad's cold and distant."
Yeah,
Like, ugh,
yeah,
that
I
sucks.
know. It's really sad. And I feel like a lot of kids can relate to things like that,
Sure.
like maybe wanting something that maybe their friend has or, yearning for that. And I think that's why like Wim is so set on this
Mhm.
adventure. Like he genuinely believes like that there's a Jedi temple there because that's all he believes. Like that's just like everything that
He
he
has to believe it,
it's his
yeah.
imagination. Like I this is all like I know there's a Jedi temple there. Um
He's making the
and
world work for him.
yeah, for
Right?
sure.
He's forcing it to work for him. He wants there to be a Jedi temple there. He wants there to be an adventure. He's
Mhm.
gonna make an adventure. He pushes the button.
Yeah.
They're saying, "Don't push the button." He sees that, and then boy, those lights go off in his head, and he's like, "I
Yep.
must push that button."
Oh my goodness, my sweet Wim. Oh, when buddy, just stop pushing the buttons. It's like,
Do you think
how can you not push the buttons?
do you think that, like, it'll come out that, like, he pushed a button he shouldn't have, and that's why, like, do you think there'll be, like, there'll be a time in, like, an episode or 2 where they find out about that, and then they start yelling at him like, "It's all your fault. How dare
I
you
mean,
do"
I feel like they all think everything's already his
That's
fault.
true. That's true.
I
Who
think
else could have done this?
Neil was practically turning on him by the end too. He was like, I just want to go home. I don't
You
want to
wanna go
play.
with the girls?
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to play anymore. Oh my
What
goodness.
I will say about the culture of this town is how much they respect like, the claimsies. Like,
Oh, that was
he
great.
was just
That was
like, "Well,"
great.
they
Perfect.
call it claimsies.
Yeah, it checks out.
It checks
It
out. I
checks
can't do
out.
anything about this here.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
It's
Oh, I
like, "Oh,
love it. I
man.
love when these kids interact.
I
It's
wanna
so
be a part of
good.
this crew already." Like,
Yeah.
this is dream like.
A great crew. And also they found a new crew member, which was, I think, gonna be a huge favorite droid of mine. I mean, a Star Wars
Already. Yeah.
series isn't a Star Wars series unless we're introduced to a new droid
Mhm.
for all of us to obsess with, and it's SM-33 Smee,
It's me.
voiced by the wonderful Nick Frost. I
Yeah.
just thought, wow, this droid looks like a pirate, has a peg
Talks
with a
like a
missing
pirate.
eye, yes, and the whole thing when he was just like, "Where is my captain?" and Fern just being so quick-witted and on top of it, said, "I killed your pirate. I took his guts out and I threw him out in space." I just thought, "Oh,
Like, "Oh, checks out."
this is good." And the way SM-33 is like, "Captain?" I was like, "Oh my goodness, this is good." And there's a rat that lives in
Oh,
like comes out of his eye.
so
Like,
good.
this is just so much fun. This is so much fun.
And his beatdown in, episode
Oh
2
my goodness. When
was
he does the
awesome.
Henry Cavill, like, fist pump
Oh,
and he, and then
the
he,
lock and load with the hands.
yeah, and then he, like, stretches another 5 feet, I was like, "Oh, yes, this is great. This is cool." Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
I
just
think
trying
Smee
to
is gonna be
protect his captain.
a fan favorite,
Oh,
if not already by the
already.
end of this thing.
I honestly was just like, yes, like we again, this isn't a Star Wars series unless we get a new droid to just like love and obsess with.
I'm
Yeah.
obsessed already.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Speak
SM-33 is just is fantastic.
and in the middle of that fight, he lets free accidentally, perhaps, some of the fuzzball from, Captain EO.
Love it.
Yeah.
You got to free Fuzzball. Fuzzball needs to be free.
Yeah, exactly, free fuzzball.
Free
Uh,
Fuzzball.
and, um, whatever remnants of Teek remained, we got in that same sequence too. That poor guy's seen better days after Endor.
I think so too.
Woof, woof, indeed. Now,
Mhm.
speaking of people that have seen better days, perhaps Jod Nanawa, Jude Law,
Mhm.
the guy that's kind of been at the forefront of this story and been marketed as like the lead of this in some way. Like Jude Law
Mhm.
in Star Wars is the pitch for this. We finally got to see him and his character John Nanawood. But I ask you, in the first episode, in that first sequence there's Captain Silvo, I think is
Mhm.
exactly the name there. Seems like they might be perhaps Jude Law there. Do you think that he could be the pirate captain from the beginning of the show?
I called that instantly.
I feel like it
I
was like
said
obvious in a way, right?
I said, "Okay, he's the same height."
The
I
voice was there? Like
personally don't know Jude Law, but it looks like it walks like him. That voice distortion that they use, they weren't really trying
I've seen The
to.
Holiday enough.
Yeah,
I know how this
yeah,
man walks.
I know how he walks. I watch The Holiday all the time. Yeah, I called that instantly. I'm like, well, that's obviously him. Um, and it checks out. I mean, he was, locked up, and they probably locked him up after.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I believe it's him. I'm excited to see more because we only just got a little bit at the end.
Little
Um,
glimpse.
yeah, there's something about Jude Law as the actor who just really plays like these like the character that's coming up to my mind is Captain Marvel.
Ah, yes.
Um, what
What is
character does
his
he
name?
play in Captain Marvel? Oh my gosh, this is terrible. If you guys when Captain Marvel came out, I always said I was a number one fan of Captain Marvel. Now I can't remember his name. Don't look at my old Twitter where I'm praising the Captain Marvel movie and cannot remember this character's name. Please don't.
It's it's
Yeah, I
it's
don't
it's really
remember his name.
straightforward. It's like VOD or something like that. It's oh my gosh.
Oh no, this is embarrassing. But anyways,
Ugh,
that
fact
character, but
check
he
us,
played,
internet.
yeah,
Ugh.
my goodness. He does play like a really cool, like interesting character. Very charming, but there's, I don't know your full intention yet. You say you're on my side, but you're not. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what he wants with these kids. He overheard a lot already. He probably wants to get to their home planet.
Oh my gosh, why doesn't Google tell me right away what his character is? Even Google suppresses it. Jan Rog is the
There you
character's name.
go.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, that him. So,
I like how I
yes.
try to say it was a straightforward name when it really is just as complicated as Jod Nanawood.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Jod. It's so close to Jude Law too. It's pretty fun. Jod. That's the best part. It's like that would be a little short nickname for Jude Law.
Yes.
Jod.
Yes,
Yeah.
Jod. That's probably what, like, his kids call him.
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, what
Jod.
do your kids call you if you don't call you dad?" "Oh, it's Jod." "Oh,
This is
Jod J
Jod.
Jod
Yeah, makes
Nanawood, of
sense.
course, it rolls off the tongue."
Yes, makes sense.
So I guess the other question surrounding this character is around his possible force sensitivity.
Mhm.
Do you think that he perhaps was once a Jedi, just as
Mm,
force sensitive? Is he pulling a fast one on everyone, as pirates are one to do? Is he kind of like Haja, just kind of an opportunist from Obi-Wan Kenobi?
mhm.
What do you think about kind of like this end sequence here, where he does the in a way the dog getting the keys that are just conveniently placed around the way pirate bit.
I love that. That's my one of my favorite bits.
Oh, it is so cool, right?
When they try to train the mouse to
I
go get it.
love that they were
I was
like
like,
this.
that
Maybe the
thing is
rat will do
that
it.
thing is bigger than the rat. But Neil had great intentions.
I told you,
That's why
like
you
I
love
felt
Neil
fully
so much.
confident in his idea.
Yeah, he wanted to protect him, and then he said he can do it. He had so much faith in him. Um, I wanna say I don't think he's a Jedi.
Hmm.
I want to say just because we live in a world where galaxy where people can be force sensitive,
Hmm.
um, can be force sensitive and not be a Jedi. I That's
Sure.
right. I'm just thinking he's just a force sensitive pirate,
Yeah, he could be like Broom
which
Kid, right?
yeah, I haven't seen I don't think I've seen a pirate that's force sensitive. That's kind of cool. Um, but I don't know. It's really interesting. I don't think it's some sort of trick, because how would that happen? Like,
He's just been waiting there the entire
just
time
waiting, "Oh, I'm gonna wait here
for
in
his
this
opportunity.
cell. I'm here, and I have every chance to get that key, but I'm gonna wait until these 4 kids come,
Hmm.
and they take me to their treasure planet that doesn't exist." Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe he's a force sensitive.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um
I like that Eddie's just force sensitive. He doesn't. Not everyone has to be an Order 66 survivor.
Yeah, and it's gonna be yeah, that's another thing that's actually interesting question for the show. It's like, who are you? And when you
He's the
hear in
guy
the
that
trailer,
really
yeah,
got Grogu out.
yeah.
Well,
And he's gonna use that to his advantage. Wim is gonna just really
yeah.
believe that he's a Jedi, I believe.
Yes.
And he's gonna just probably go along with it. I am a Jedi. And you know,
Oh man,
the cracks will start to show, and
if he is seedy and
he's
he just
gonna
ruins Wim's idea of what a Jedi is.
I will be heartbroken for Wim.
Oh, my
That's
heart's breaking already at the thought
yeah,
of it.
that's just even thinking about that, that could be very
This is a bad
heartbreaking.
thought. I'm not going down this road.
Yeah, I don't wanna go down this road, but I feel like maybe it's just like he's just gonna ruin his I mean, because 'cause they're just out in the real world right now, and just
It's the
that's when
nature of
that's
pirates. You can't
it's
trust
the
them.
yeah, and it's the coming of age of story of these kids, like, they're gonna have to face all these different,
Mm.
you know, difficulties and, um, and then they're gonna have to just probably learn some hard truths
Oh,
about themselves, about their heroes, of, what they wanted to be, maybe not, what they wanted not what they wanna be anymore, about their home, like, it's gonna be I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna get tugged at the heartstrings as much as I love a good, comfy, joyous show.
as every
Yeah.
good cozy thing does, eventually it just gets you.
But I think this first episode does a really great job at establishing these characters, and I
Yeah.
think what we're gonna see, just like in with any adventure story, there's some great possible character arcs that we can see from these
Hmm.
kids, and even maybe from Jod. Also, you never know. Like he might meet these kids, and
Yeah.
yeah, he might gang like the Grinch. You just get like
His heart grows.
his
Yeah.
heart grows, you never know. Kids have that effect on, you know, people who are jaded and been through stuff.
Mm.
So it'll be really interesting.
I like what you're dishing here. I think this
Mhm,
is a great setup for, as you said, the great uh, journey that a coming of age story really is. And
mhm.
I like the theory that these kids have some positive impact on John Wood and his heart, and they come out through this unscathed on the other side. And over the next 30 years, they eventually find themselves at the Battle of Exegol, fighting for everybody in the world, and taking down the final order and the first order and the remnants of the empire, and living out peacefully in the galaxy on At Attin afterwards in their cozy suburban homes and cul-de-sacs and whatever there is out there.
Yeah.
I think that'd be awesome. But we'll see
Mhm.
what this actually does here. Um, so Silver, I'm at my last question here for this evening. What are you most excited for in the remainder of this series? And I think you kind of alluded to a little bit there, but if you have anything else to add that you're excited about, let me know.
Yeah, I'm excited really just to kind of I think what we talked about, just kind of like enjoy this holiday season of watching a new Star Wars show. That's always fun. But also, not just any Star Wars show, a comforting brand new Star Wars show. I feel
Hmm.
like the first 2 episodes proved already, like, what the show's about. They said what it was gonna be about. I think they've shown what it's gonna be about. Um, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm already in love with each and every one of these characters, and just like what I just mentioned previously,
Hmm.
I just can't wait to see, um just kind of how they deal with it. I think that's just
Yeah.
really fun. I think, yeah, there's just a room for a lot of great arcs. There's room for even cooler looking pirates to show up. Um, but man, I am a sucker for aliens and creatures. And if I can get a little bit more of what I saw in that port in the rest of the
Oh.
series, I'll be pleasantly I'd just be really happy. And yeah, honestly, this is what I wanted. I just wanted a comfy Star Wars show for the holiday season, and I
Hmm.
feel that's what I'm gonna get.
100% agree. And look, if I can somehow, if we can convince Disney somehow, Lucasfilm, if you're listening, Galaxy's Edge is a great place where you can try out recipes for things. So if you want to give us that whatever soup thing, crab that they got cut open, that's served to those kids there at the spaceport, I'd be more than willing to be a guinea pig to try that thing, because that looked pretty good. I gotta say.
Oh my goodness. That was just like any kid, it's like, what is this? When Neil said, no, it's okay. And then that thing gets the toppings get cracked and it's like the final, yeah, I was just like after it was garnished. His bowl of soup was garnished. It was poor Neil. He was just like, I can't stomach this.
Neil's like, "Is this isn't gluten-free, guys. I can't have this."
Yeah.
This isn't in my diet, guys. I don't know what this is.
Yeah,
I need to go home
right?
after chicken nuggets. I can't do
Yep.
this."
Chicken nuggets, please.
And then take a bath. This has been a long day. I'm in my overalls. I can't with this.
Yeah, right?
Um, I will say I'm gonna yes and everything you just said there. I can't wait to see more of all that, and I just want to see more Brutus. I think like that's some of the coolest character design. I mean, it's simple. It's Wolfman pirate, but
Yeah, I think Brutus is gonna be like the Blackbeard of the show.
he's called Brutus, and like
Yeah.
he's gonna live up to that name. He's gonna be brutal at times. I think
Mhm.
just yeah, exactly. Captain Hook. He's got a hook for a hand, right? you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
Blackbeard. He's got a Blackbeard. You gotta live
Mhm.
up to your namesake, man. Show us some
Agreed.
brutality. Be a pirate. You have full permission. Go out in the galaxy. Terrorize these kids a little bit. Don't hurt them at all. um,
Yeah.
I, do you think Neil has like from the Goonies some chonk vibes, like just like
I
that
got that a little
lovable kid
bit.
that like
Yeah, you gotta have one.
God, I hope he
Yeah.
doesn't go down the route of chonk and get captured and then just
Yeah.
gets tortured by these pirates.
No, that would be too much for us. I think Neil Nation would not accept that.
And then they're just he's seemingly on the ship, there's a sloth-like character. Wouldn't that be hey, bring it on. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
it. So,
Yeah.
it's like you said, wonderful blueprint has been laid for the show. They didn't lie at all in the marketing. I don't feel hoodwinked by anything that I saw on the screen the last in these 2 episodes here. It seems very much Amblin-like adventure, kids in Star Wars, lots of fun on that front, and, yeah, I think this is just gonna be a fantastic show that Lucasfilm has put on for us, and just can't wait to see week to week where they go. And I'm all here for the adventure. So give me the cozy, give me the comfort, give me the fun. It's Star Wars here for the fun ride, and a great holiday season is accompanied by this wonderful Star Wars accent. Um, so yeah, Silver, thank you so much for joining on the show today to chat through the first 2 episodes of Skeleton Crew. If the folks wanna, embrace the conversation and chat about the coziness of Skeleton Crew with you on the internet, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm now on Blue Sky at Star Wars
Hey, Blue
Thrifting.
Sky.
Yeah, come check me out. I'll be posting cool stories of my CRT TV, maybe showing a little bit of Skeleton Crew. I'll show you guys my setup. Yeah, so DMs are open. Let's talk about Skeleton Crew.
Awesome, awesome, and of course, Star Wars Thrifting. Silver is always out at garage sales, flea markets, you name it, finding all types of stuff in regards to Star Wars and pop culture, Lucasfilm things. So always a fun thing to see where you're going on the weekends and the cool stuff that you find. So I implore our audience, please, if you haven't already, give her a follow and just keep up with the adventures that she's doing as well.
Yes,
Um,
and I will be looking for a Gorian Shard Chia Pet, and I will not rest until I find
I
it.
agree. This needs to be the mantra of what this show stands for now. I join you in this crusade. Will not rest until Gorian Shard Chia Pet is done. Lucasfilm, you are on watch now. You are on watch. There are many
I will be
opportunities.
in your walls if you don't give me that Gorian Shard Chia Pet.
Yeah. Yes,
I'll
yes.
live here.
Yeah, don't threaten me with a good time. I will live in the walls of Lucasfilm. I will do what I must. I will take on this burden.
Yes.
I'll do what I need to in order to make this happen. Silver, thanks so much again for hopping on here and having this wonderful conversation here. It's been a true blast to kick off our Skeleton Crew conversation. Folks at home, thank you for listening as well to this chat. We're going to be here every week chatting about the latest Skeleton Crew. We have a full guest list upcoming, so be excited for that. And of course, we'll be back next week with episode 3 of Skeleton Crew, and who knows what that's going to be all about. So come along, join us for this fun ride. And until then, may the force be with you. Take care.